Hello, friends. It's the Carnivore Rabbi here, as always, to meet, pray, and love. A little bit of a dreary day here in Chicago. A little rain never stopped a carnivore. At my synagogue, we have Friday evening services on the Sabbath, Friday night, which is the Sabbath in Judaism. And we were always trying to fit everybody's schedule. So we would have an earlier time for the young families with little children. Then we would have a later time for the older adults, and sometimes a middle time for those people who were taking the train to work and would get back and didn't want to go home before getting on the train. So at one point, we had 3 different times for Sabbath services, and we would change which Friday we had which time. And it was quite confusing, but it was all based on trying to meet everybody's needs. And it got so confusing that many people would come on the wrong day at the wrong time. So if they were trying to come to the 5:30 service, they would think it was at 7 that Friday night. If they were coming for the 7 o'clock service, they would come on a day when there was no 7 o'clock service and there was only a 5:30 service. So I decided we are going to have one time every Friday, no questions. Everybody can try to come to that time or not come to that time. And it worked. It was much more efficient. More people made it. There were not people who would show up with no service and be upset. Now, in an ideal world, we could have all those different service times and we would meet everybody's needs perfectly. We do not live in an ideal world. We live in the real world and we have to adapt to that real world. And in the real world, simple always beats complex. Consistent always beats. A confused mind says no. A confused mind turns away. And I think this is essential when it comes to carnivore. When I did keto, I remember thinking I should learn how to carb cycle so that I can do keto during the week, and then on the weekend I would have the metabolic flexibility that I could have some carbs, and I would read that would be the ideal way, and you should have the flexibility if you're traveling and you want to try the unique foods of one country or one city. You can do that because you can have metabolic flexibility, and it didn't work. It was too confusing. In an ideal world, of course that would work. But in the real world, we have so many things on our mind, and consistency and simplicity always wins. It's not ideal, but it's effective. One thing I learned as a rabbi is sometimes you can be right, and other times you can be effective. And it's more important to be effective. So simplicity, consistency make the carnivore diet more effective. They also make it less likely that we get distracted and consumed by the noise. There is so much noise in the world. There's noise in every area of life. There's noise when it comes to finances. There's noise when it comes to entertainment. And there's noise when it comes to food. If we have a simple, consistent routine, we don't have to pay any attention to the noise. We can absolutely turn it off. We're listening only for what matters to us, and that is essential. Now, that doesn't mean you close yourself off to the world. It means you close yourself off to the dangerous distractions. Consistency, Ralph Waldo Emerson said, is the hobgoblin of small minds. And while I love Emerson, I think he was totally wrong on this account. Consistency is central to a wise and sophisticated mind. Consistency allows us to save enormous amounts of energy. Some of the smartest and most successful people in the world, think about Steve Jobs. He was consistent in what he wore every day. He wore a black turtleneck and blue jeans. That was so he could devote his energy to hard, creative problems. And that can work for each of us, even if we're not Steve Jobs. We are consistent in what we eat so that we can put our brain power to what we do, so that we can be more creative, more loving, more connected. Consistency. What other diet gives you the consistency of the carnivore diet? Every other diet has you changing things up. You have this at dinner, this at lunch, maybe this for breakfast, and you'll switch off on the weekend or take this day off. Carnivore diet brings a certain level of consistency. Now, can that get boring? Sure. But I would much rather take boring over confusion. A confused mind says no. A confused mind turns away. A clear, consistent mind turns toward. So aside from the carnivore diet, think about other areas of life where you can perhaps be more consistent. I prefer the word consistent over discipline. Discipline to me has negative connotations, even though I consider myself a disciplined person. But consistency, that to me implies reliability, integrity, trust. It can help make the carnivore diet easier and more successful.